being too obvious. But anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on Colombia so far? I know some of you guys have been here. Well, me and Sneeko, it's our first time. You guys have been here before. So I guess, Sneeko, what's your first thoughts on it? What do you
I got to walk around quite a bit. Myron's just been working really hard. There's a big studio behind the scenes that you guys can't see. He's been here. But I had the chance to walk around a little bit yesterday and get a sense of the place and everything. Played some soccer with some kids. Got to speak to some people last night. We went out to some nice restaurants so far. Sartorial.
The food in this city is no joke, man.
Really good.
Really good.
Really good and really cheap too. I paid for lunch, I think the first day we got here, 8 people, all these steaks, and it was $80 US.
Yeah.
It's really funny too because the currency is like millions. Yeah. So it's just like 35
mils,
million. Yeah. And you think that I'm a trillionaire in Colombia, actually.
It's funny, even a couple months ago was even way cheaper, like a year ago. It's like quadrupled in price. Every gringo wants to come here to escape the West, and we're gentrifying the fuck out of this place. It is like, 50% to 100% more expensive now than what it was a year and a half ago.
Gotcha. And you've been here for how long now?
7 years, going on 7 long years, yes.
Well, yeah, how have you liked it?
Ups and downs, man. I had some interesting stuff here. I do parties here, and one thing about Colombia is, I'll say this, 90%, so the people who live here in this city called Medellin are called paisas. I know paisas can mean other things, other contexts, but in this sense, paisa just means you are born in Antioquia, Medellin, which is where we are. And about 90% of them are just fine, dandy, good people. And then a good 10% of them just do not like foreigners. They just don't date gringos at all. Actually, even on the panel last night, we asked all the girls if they prefer dating Colombians or gringos, and out of like 10 girls,
I think
gringos? All of them said
most
Colombian
of them said,
guys. All of them said
preferred
Colombian guys, which is kind of
So
surprising.
they meet the right gringo.
I will say
the
for
right
like
Westerner.
the small percentage of girls here that do like to date gringos, say it's 20 to 20, I'm talking like fresh here, 20 to 25% of the girls likes gringos. With those girls, we have like a hyper advantage. It's like extra easy with those girls. Those are like, they're actively like looking for us and dating us. But the other 80%, believe it or not, are not into gringos. So you think you're gonna just come off a plane and get here and start dating 9s and 10s when you get off the airport? That's not the case at all. It's still kind of a competitive dating market for the top girls.
Jules, do you think it's worth finding a wife in South America? Do you think it's possible?
I mean, I think it's a tricky one. For me, you need to clarify exactly what you're looking for in a wife. And if you're looking for what I call wife material, that's going to be a very religious woman. It's going to be a woman who is aware of the fact that her body is a sacred thing and shouldn't be shared around widely. And I see Western culture as being directly opposed to that. So my question would be, and maybe you're the man to answer this, how much has Western culture infected the minds of the women in this part of the world? That answer would then inform whether or not there's wife material girls here. That would be my view, brother.
Less than most places in the world, to be honest. It's everywhere. There's, short, blue-haired feminists with piercings and tattoos. They have those here. It's just way, way less. You're not going to escape that Western feminist influence anywhere in the world that I'm aware of, at least. But it's much lower here. And I was telling this to you, I think the other night. There are those extremely beautiful, educated English-speaking girls here in Colombia and Medellin, but they typically don't mess with gringos. And just being a gringo on Tinder, you're gonna get targeted more for the grillas and interesadas. That's like the gold diggers, the skanks. So it's a bit harder here as a gringo. Now, if you live here, you establish a life here, you learn the language. Yeah, if you learn the language, then it's absolutely possible, to find a good girl.
Do Myron and I count as gringos?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Gringo just means foreigner from America.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a bit of a debate on this, but yeah, gringo just means, Canadian, European. They'll argue like, no, it just means American. Canadians aren't gringos, but yeah, foreigners. Let's just say foreigners.
Okay.
Fair enough. Joel, what do you think about the, obviously you've been instrumental in us making sure that we're safe out here. You're a big reason why I'm even here, because that was a big thing that I was like, oh man, I don't know if I want to go because of
you're a public
concerns.
figure, bro, and it's clear from your Instagram you've got some money as well, so that makes you a target, 100%.
Yeah, so what's your thoughts on, because you've been here multiple times, how should someone move here? What's the security like? Has it changed significantly since you were last here? How should people prepare if they want to come here?
Okay, so in terms of assessing the security risk levels of this country, I'd put it as a medium, with somewhere like Somalia being an extreme, then you'd have Pakistan being a high. I'd put Colombia as a medium, but also it's got sharp edges. It's a friendly place, go out and drink, but things can get bad really quickly. The key approach is risk avoidance. Consciously choose the locations you're going to and consciously choose the times at which you're going to those locations and make those choices based on both research of the risk environment, so you can check the government websites to see what you should and shouldn't do, but what's key is local knowledge. Having a man like this who can brief you is ideal. If you don't have that, have a chat to your host at an Airbnb, have a chat to the concierge at a hotel, understand how tourists are being hit in that month, because, crime trends change. The way I do it, I'm lucky enough to have staff. So I have security staff with the security companies that I'm involved in, and they take me around. And because I'm the boss, they take good care of me. So for me, it's easy mode, and I can extend that to my friends.
Yeah.
But what I say is, anyone traveling to a country like this, get on a government website and have a read about the way tourists are being targeted. Utilize local knowledge, and just don't be in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's a lot better to not need heavy security and guys with guns and all these things, just by being smart about where you put yourself in certain situations.
Gotcha.
Don't display wealth. It's an easy one. Understand that there are spotters at the airports. There are spotters at the hotels. There are spotters. Those guys who are standing there selling things by the side of the road, how much money do you think they make from selling something on the road? How much money do you think they make from saying, hey, in this Uber with this number plate, there's a guy wearing a nice watch? I mean, that's what I would do if I was working there.
Yeah.
That'd be my side hustle.
Yeah.
So just be aware of the fact that you have a lot of wealth. This is a country where people don't have wealth. And there's some bad guys here. There's some threat actors here who... I mean, you look at Colombian history, this was a bad country. This was a high-risk environment not that long ago.
Yeah.
Longest-standing civil war in history.
There you go. So not only is there a lot of weapons, there are a lot of guys who know how to use those weapons, who are prepared to get kinetic, to get in someone's face, to get some wealth. So, yeah, you do need to be very conscious of the way you carry yourself in this part of the world. And also, just roll the way men are meant to roll. Have a big group of guys. Ideally, some of you don't drink and keep a level head. Make sure you're not getting, what's that thing where they mess with your mind?
The drug scopolamine.
Yeah,
I want to talk about that after.
Yeah.
Excellent. So let's go on to that. If you are rolling as a group of guys who are capable and who are looking after each other, that's another very important way to do it as well. Over to you with the scopamine thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And tell them like some things to watch out for, and then the specific ways to get hit. Sorry, go ahead.
Drop some local knowledge, bro.
Like he was saying, having a guy who knows the lay of the land, a local who's been here, a lot of experience here. So
Real quick, Casey. Guys, give me ones in the chat if the audio is good. It should be good. I calibrate all the mics. I want to make sure they really hear what you're about to say, because this is important. This is really life-saving stuff, right? Yeah. So give me ones in the chat, guys, if the audio is good. I just want to make sure that...
So there's a drug called scopolamine. I'll let you just... Yeah, we're good. Okay.
We're good to go.
Yeah,
Go
there's
ahead,
a drug
Casey.
called scopolamine here where they put it into your drink, and once you drink it, you more or less will be open to doing anything they say. So if I scope you, if I put scopolamine in your drink, I'll say, hey, shooter, it'd be a great idea if you put on a chicken costume and go dance around the streets. Oh, mate, it's a great idea. Why didn't I think of that?
So basically it turns you into a simp.
Yeah.
Scary.
Worse. So I know stories of
Casey, keep it close to you.
Oh,
yeah.
I know stories, friends of guys who they'll say my friend came and he got scoped. A girl put scopolamine in his drink. Usually Tinder girls. They're all over Tinder looking for vulnerable gringos. And the guy gets scoped, and then just horror stories. 200K in crypto, gone.
Yeah.
And it's funny here, I can't even use my own goddamn Capital One credit card half the time. It's like, I know, I can verify what street I grew up on and what my, last four of my social. I can't even use my credit cards here half the time. If these guys, scope you and get your passport, your wallet, your phone, they'll unlock it. They have friends in banks in Miami, because everybody here in Colombia has family in Miami and whatnot. They have friends at the banks who will let these go through, or however they do it. So that's one thing. And of the guys that I know that got scoped, all of them say, man, I wish somebody would have told me. All the red flags were there. I met her on Tinder. Yeah. She said she didn't have an Instagram. It seemed too good to be true. She wanted to come straight over to my house to drink. And had somebody like me just told you that, man, it has every red flag. And then also they're getting young, good-looking guys too. It used to be just fat simps.
So Cardi B got her training here.
They have a university.
That's why they come down here.
Scope U is.
But also globally, what is the number one way men bring risk into their lives?
Yeah, women.
I mean, and then we can even talk about the situation with the Tates, just by being a friendly, hospitable guy and letting in, lots of women come in for parties. And you said you do parties. Yep. How do you manage risk with the parties? Because the idea of bringing in a lot of random women, that terrifies me, bro. I would never do that as a security professional. How do you manage that?
Yeah, well, 2 strapped security guards for one. So when the girls walk in here, the first thing they see is a tall, mean, ugly-looking motherfucker with a gun on his hip.
Okay, that'll help.
Because they may be ready to call their cousins back in Bayo. Bayo's kind of like a ghetto neighborhood, and they may be ready to call the boys back in Bayo, hey, there's 90 gringos in a penthouse, all of them got an iPhone. What's 90 times, $800 per phone? That's a shitload of money. So yeah, first thing they do is they see 2 mean security guards with guns. And going on what you were saying earlier about, travel with men and stuff, I'm more, what's the word, like aware. I'm orders of magnitude more aware than any gringo traveling here. And I get pickpocketed. It's happened twice. Over 7 years, it does happen.
That's a big thing here is pickpocketing.
We talked about that. But and then another friend of mine he didn't get scoped, but I think some girls just got him really drunk or maybe put like a Xanax or a sleeping pill. Anyway, he got robbed. And he's like a good looking guy, not a simp, not a weirdo, not some unaware person. So now when we go out, I'm like, listen, and we were both there, like when he got drugged and when I got pickpocketed, we were both like in the vicinity. I said, hey, listen, that time that I got pickpocketed, not your fault at all. 100% my responsibility. When you got drugged, 100% your responsibility, not mine. But from now on,
learn from it. Yep.
it is my responsibility if you get drugged, and it is your responsibility if I get pickpocketed. None of this like, I'm texting and managing my business from my phone as I'm walking, and no, eyes ahead, like we're in the third world. Yeah. So as you said, it's the brotherhood. You know, we all watch each other.
I think it's much better. I've traveled the world with women, and we were traveling now like a group of, there's like 8, 9 guys of us here. We don't really interact with women besides like
one of them's a monster sitting behind the camera. Shout out to the Warner.
Shout out to, we walked around
That's what you call a security deterrent, right there.
Yeah,
My brother.
It seems kind of foolish now to be walking around with 1 or 2 girls when you could have a group of guys, especially when